Hey, radio horror fans, here's another one of Dr. Chris's reviews of a horror franchise in 10 to 5 minutes or less. Last time we covered the Insidious films, I thought we'd cover Adam Green's Hatchet saga. Quadrilogy? Yeah, quadrilogy is probably the best way to say it, because on his podcast he said there will not be a fifth film. Who knows? Maybe? We'll see. Okay, here we go. The first Hatchet film came out in 2007 or 2006, depending if you went to the Tribeca Film Festival, and it was written and directed by Adam Green. The story begins with a couple of fishermen who get killed in the New Orleans swamp, one of which played by horror icon Robert Englund. Cut over to Mardi Gras. Our characters Ben and his best friend Marcus, played by Joel David Moore, and Dion Richmond, take a boat trip through the swamp with a couple on vacation and a wannabe porn his two porn actresses, as well as a mysterious girl who keeps to herself. Along the way, with the help of their trusty guide, and I use that term loosely, trusty guide, played by Perry Shen, their boat hits rocks and runs adrift. As the crew shambles through the woods, they encounter the Crowley house, and Mary Beth shares the tale of the legend of Victor Crowley, who was a deformed child with a rare disease, bullied by children, and kept hidden from his father. Unfortunately, on Halloween night, some firecrackers were thrown into the cabin. Crowley's father, who's also played by Victor Crowley himself, Kane Hodder, best known as Jason in the Friday the 13th films, and a great stuntman in many other films, accidentally kills his son and then dies of a broken heart. The ghost of Victor Crowley inherits the swamp and picks off our would-be heroes one by one until Ben and Mary are the only two left. This movie is a great homage to old-school American horror, and I absolutely love it. It's got a great blend of quippy dialogue, gore effects, and an upbeat score that definitely goes downhill once we start getting to the terror. It's a weird mix of a film. We also get to spot a couple other great horror icons in the movie, like John Carl Buckley as Jack Cracker, a local swamp fisherman, and Tony Todd as Reverend Zombie. Released in 2010, we have Hatchet 2, and it takes place within minutes after the first film leaves off. Mary Beth, now played by horror icon Daniel Harris from the Halloween films, manages to escape and gets to Jack Cracker's cabin. She runs to see Reverend Zombie, who puts together a posse to go after Victor Crowley. Zombie gets Justin, Sean's brother, also played by Perry Shun, to help guide them through the swamp. Zombie tells the bounty hunters that he'll pay them $500 apiece in order to retrieve the boat and $5,000 for the head of Victor Crowley. We get a couple other great horror icons, such as Tom Holland, the director of Fright Night and Child's Play, R.A. Millenhoff as Trent Graves, R.A.'s best known playing Leatherface in the Leatherface, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 3. They all go after Victor Crowley and get picked off one by one, until we have a final showdown where you get to see Tony Todd fight Kane Hodder in a spectacular fashion. The only disappointment I ever had with Adam Green's first Hatchet movie was we didn't get to see Robert Englund fight Kane Hodder. It just didn't happen, and it's the only thing I don't like about the movie, but that's just my nitpicky as a fan. I absolutely love the Hatchet films, by the way. I own all four, and I'm always happy to see Adam Green at horror conventions, so don't get me wrong, and don't take it as me downtrodding on the films themselves. They are fantastic horror, bloody, nasty, gory, gut-filled, blood-soaked, absolute nightmare films. Victor Crowley kills Reverend Zombie, skinning him alive. Mary Beth strikes him and with his own hatchet, knocking him to the ground. She then beats him into a bloody pulp and then comes back over with a shotgun, firing a blast, hopefully seemingly killing him. Blink and you'll miss it, and you'll actually see a connection to one of Adam Green's other films, Frozen, on a TV screen in the background inside Cracker's cabin. Now cut over to 2013 with the release of Hatchet 3, this time directed by B.J. McDonnell and written and produced by Adam Green. Once again, the film immediately picks up where the other one left off, so the whole film series, at least the first three, take place over an entire weekend. Victor Crowley is still alive, mainly because he's kind of like a poltergeist, so you can't really kill them unless you have a proton pack. Can you imagine if they called the Ghostbusters to go into the woods with proton packs? The police go to investigate the killings in the swamp and arrest Mary Beth. Victor Crowley's bagged and tagged by an ambulance, kind of similar to the way Jason was at the very beginning of Part 4 of the Friday the 13th series, a film that Adam Green, along with his co-star from the Movie Crypt podcast, Joe Lynch, did a commentary for. Maybe an homage to them? Who knows? We get another horror icon, played by Derek Mears, who played Jason in the Friday the 13th remake in 2009, who leads a SWAT team into the swamp. The sheriff of the town, played by Zach Galligan from Gremlins, takes Mary Beth to the house of Abbott McMullen, played by Sid Haig. We eventually learn that there's an entire curse upon the family involved with the kids connected to Victor Crowley. More on that, you definitely have to watch the movies because it's just a little bit more complicated to explain between the three films. Mary Beth, who's been our hero this entire time, is able to take the ashes of Victor Crowley's father and smash them over his head. Victor Crowley then, of course, collapses and melts. The last bit of breath, She grabs one of the SWAT team's guns and blows the remains away. Believing that she's killed Victor Crowley once and for all, and she collapses. We believe her to be dead, but who can really say for sure? We also get a great glimpse of Joel David Moore's character Ben, who is still alive and barely clinging to life, as the events of his death took place at least 2 nights, 48 hours before the events at the end of Hatchet 3. Then we jump into 2017, 10 years after the events of the first Hatchet movie. Andrew Young, survivor of the Crowley massacre, who some people actually believed him to be the serial killer, wrote a book detailing what happened to everybody aboard that boat ride that fateful night. Funny enough that Adam Green, along with horror icon and writer Joe Netter, actually wrote a book connected to the film. So it's kind of like if you've ever seen the TV series Castle, they wrote books in real life connected to the TV series of Castle. They also did that to Murder, She Wrote years ago as well, written by the fake writer within the universe itself. Very cool marketing idea, and a very well-written book by Joe Netter. Crowley's got more people to kill in this film, as he is resurrected due to a YouTube video of Reverend Zombie, played by Tony Todd once again, reciting the voodoo curse that originally brought Crowley back, has been recited as it's being played on a phone. We get horror icons Felicia Rose, Tiffany Sheffis, Laura Ortiz, Chase Williamson. Andrew and all the new victims are aboard a plane and they crash, and Victor attacks the plane. And it becomes kind of like this trapped in a single room murder killing spree where basically if you get out, you're gonna die. If you stay in the plane, you're gonna die. It's a catch-22 with the victims. The movie culminates with a huge standoff with Andrew Rose, played by Laura Ortiz, and Dave Sheridan as Dylan confront Crowley and try to push him into a turbine in order to slice him up. Dylan rugby tackles Crowley into the turbine, spraying the 2 remaining characters with all of Crowley's blood, finally killing him for good. But blink and you'll miss it, or don't fast forward through the credits, and you get a cutscene with Daniel Harris's Mary Beth still alive, grabbing a shotgun, saying she's been waiting for this and going to go after Victor Crowley. This is one of the most smartly written, outrageously funny, and incredibly gory film series I have ever seen. It's absolutely a lot of fun to watch, and the cinematography in the movie is 100% some of the best I've seen in a horror movie in a long time. Bill Barrett did the cinematography through most of the films, and it really shows. The quality in the first film is absolutely my favorite, but my favorite out of all 4 of them is the second one, so it probably goes 2, 4, 1, and 3. If you hadn't had a chance to pick them up, get them now. Hatchets 2, 3, and 4 are available from Dark Sky Films, Area Scope Pictures, and the first Hatchet film is available from Anchor Bay, but can all be found on Adam Green's website, Area Scope Pictures.